In more than 20 years of practicing medicine, I've collected interesting facts about your body. Join me on a tour head to toe of
Your body is interesting.
the urogenital system. Deals with urine and reproduction. Let's start with your kidneys. You don't need to witness an autopsy to see what a kidney's appearance really looks like. They really do look like kidney beans. Most folks make a trip to the bathroom to pee 6 times per day. In some people, after they eat beets, their urine becomes pink or even red, and no doubt this has been misinterpreted as peeing blood. Condition, which is just a normal variant, some people do, some people don't, is called beeturia. Now, some people insist after eating asparagus their urine smells different, whereas other people eating the same asparagus will say it doesn't smell any different at all. So scientists spent all this time trying to look at the chemical disparity between people who claimed they could smell asparagus in their urine and people who couldn't. But they couldn't find a difference between the urine until someone with some common sense says, okay, everybody in this study who claims they can smell something different, go to this side of the room with your urine sample, and the folks that can't go to the other side of the room. Now, switch your urine sample with someone from the other side of the room. And what happened is the smellers could smell the same odor from the folks that claimed that there was nothing different in their urine, and the folks that could never smell it still can't, even from the people from the other side of the room. So in the end, the difference between people isn't their urine, but rather their noses. Now, in the womb, the baby is in a closed sac, floating around in there in fluid, and their kidneys function. They actually urinate in while they're in there, and they then swallow the urine that they made, and then it gets processed again through the kidneys, and then they pee it out over and over. So when a woman's water breaks, really what that is 9 months of baby urine finally set free. Bringing us to your reproductive system, it deals with generating new life, which begins with interest. It may surprise you that it's men that value reciprocal interest more so than women do. Despite the romance movies, the average duration of sex is only 2 minutes. Now, the job of the prostate gland is to make semen, the fluid. The word prostate is from the Greek guard, because the prostate stands like a sentinel at the gate of the bladder. Testicles, their job is to make the sperm. The word testicle is from the Latin testis, which in Latin also means witness. The thinking being that a man's testicles bear witness to his virility. Consequently, in the Roman courts, a witness would grasp under his thigh, symbolically grabbing his testicles, and did this when he was sworn in as a witness, and then the witness proceeded to testify. This same maneuver of grabbing the thigh is cited in Genesis when Abraham said to his servant, "Put your hand under my thigh and swear an oath." More graphic is that the word avocado is derived from the Aztec word for testicle. In right-handed men, the left testicle usually hangs lower, and in lefties, vice versa. Now, the sperm contain DNA, as do the eggs from the woman, and your total DNA, half comes from your mother, half comes from your father. Your DNA, if uncoiled, would stretch all the way from the Earth to the Moon and back. Now, DNA is a molecule. A molecule is quite small. A way to envision this is if you were to count up all the water molecules in a teaspoon of water, that would be as many teaspoons as there of water that there are in the Atlantic Ocean. Molecules themselves are made up of atoms. An atom resembles the solar system, and the center is the nucleus like the sun, and orbiting around it are the electrons, much like the planets in the solar system spinning around the sun. And also analogously to space, the bulk of overall space in a given atom is empty space, just like the empty space between the planets and the sun. So too in an atom, the bulk of overall space is the empty space between the central nucleus and the orbiting electrons around it. In fact, the nucleus is only 1/100,000th of the size of an atom. Ernest Rutherford described this relationship between the nucleus and the overall atom size is that the nucleus would be like a fly in the center of a cathedral dome. And Dr. Stephen Hwan tried to explain just how much empty space there is in an atom. He said that if you were to remove all the empty space in a person's body comprised of such atoms, they'd compress down so small that they could walk through the eye of a needle. Anyhow, when a sperm and an egg fuse into a single cell, that cell begins dividing. One becomes two, two becomes four, etc. And as it grows, it forms a ball, and then ultimately a fetus and a mature baby. Now, if early in this process, early during the second week, instead of the composite cells all individually splitting, the whole ball splits in half. This is how twins are formed. No one knows why this happens. Before DNA research, fingerprints were used to ascertain that twins were identical, because if you compare a given hand of one twin to the corresponding hand of the sibling, those will be more identical than a given twin's hand compared to its other hand. Twins are so identical that even bloodhounds can't distinguish between them. So that's what happens if this ball splits early during the second week. If it splits late during the second week, a different kind of twins arises called mirror twins. They're mirror images of each other in every regard. Their fingerprints, handedness. If one's heart swings to the left as is normal, the sibling's heart swings instead to the right. The direction that their hair spirals out from the top of their head, one will be clockwise, the other one will be counterclockwise. And then finally, if that ball splits at the very end of the second week, it doesn't separate, the halves don't separate completely, and what you end up with is Siamese twins connected to each other partially for the rest of their lives. A pathologist named Helen noticed that twins are born 1 out of every 89 births. Triplets 1 out of 89 squared, and quadruplets, 1 out of every 89 cubed births. Armadillos only give rise to identical twins, but it's always 5 babies at a time. That's quintuplets. Now, a baby is born every few seconds. Most births begin in the wee hours of the night and last 8 hours, delivering towards the morning. The first time a woman does give birth, it takes longer than any subsequent pregnancies. Worldwide, most births occur during the spring, and although pygmy women are the smallest mothers, they give rise to the largest babies. During the 17th century in the United States, the average number of times a woman delivered was 13 times. Now, after birth, some people go on to achieve earlier than others. The youngest pope was 11 years old. At age 10, Bill Thompson graduated from the university in Glasgow. He later went on to be a physicist for the transatlantic cable. There have been early in life parents, China, 1910, ages 8 and 9, and the youngest mother was in Peru in 1939, Lena Medina, age 6.